Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Oblong Polka Dots and my name is Kerr, and on this channel we talk about makeup, skincare, and beauty. So if that's something you're into, you've come to the right place. Today I want to talk to you about the eyeshadow palettes that I use in the month of March. So it's April right now, and these are the palettes that I used in March. There's a little asterisk here though, because I know you guys have seen this one before. Sorry for all the racket. There we go. This one. You've seen this one before. It's actually a palette that I use pretty much every single day. It's from e.l.f. and it is the bite-sized eyeshadow palette in the shade Truffles. As you can see, I've put a substantial dent into this little palette, and I love it and I use it like every day. So I'm not really including this because if I did, I would be including it in all of these videos every single month, probably until that palette runs out. I've promised myself not to buy a backup. Sorry again for the noise. Oh my gosh, I'm making a mess. Sorry. I promised myself not to buy a backup because if I do, I know that I'm just going to keep using that one palette, and I have a million palettes that I really should be using, you know, trying them out, wearing them, enjoying them, playing in them. So I don't want to keep using the same one. All right, so today, I don't know if I explained this to you guys before, but I do put a little sticky on here to make sure that I know the date that I use the palettes. I'm sure that it does not matter to you guys when I use them though, so I'll kind of skip over the date part of it. But I will say that for every palette I show you today, I did film a video. So you'll be able to find a link to all of those videos in my Get Ready With Me playlist if you are interested to see how I created looks with each of these palettes. There's a couple palettes, specifically brands that I had not tried before that I was really impressed with. I'm so glad that I tried them because they're beautiful. So I really want to start with those. So I've purchased from Mented before, but I purchased their lipsticks. I'd never purchased any eyeshadows until now. And I'll tell you what, these two palettes, you guys, these are beautiful. The formula is impeccable. It's so easy to work with. The first one I want to show you is the Everyday eyeshadow palette, and that's this one. And this palette comes with a mirror. It's a series of neutrals, and this is what the shades look like. Again, I made looks with all of these palettes in case you guys are interested, but this formula is so easy to work with. It's super blendable, dare I say buttery. I feel like these are very luxurious shadows, and the price point is accessible to many people. So beautiful, beautiful brand. I'm so glad that I decided to make that purchase. This palette in particular is just a wonderful everyday palette. I mean, look at the neutrals. These pretty much will complement any skin tone. Lots of crease and transitional shades in here, or just a wash of color over the lid. Throw on an eyeliner and a little bit of mascara and you're done. So yes, I highly recommend this palette. Ditto for the Everynight eyeshadow palette. That's the companion palette. And I love this packaging too. It feels very luxurious. It's so pretty. And I really like this building right here. The architecture, I think, is just really nice. So this palette, let me take this little plastic thing off. I thought I took all those off. Also comes with a mirror, and it's also lots of neutrals, but this one felt much more satiny to me. So this top row of shadows right here, these are all satins. And then this bottom row here, these are all mattes. And the mattes are so blendable. They are so pigmented. Lots of saturation. It's just so easy to work with. The satins, they are really beautiful colors. They're not as pigmented as I'm used to using with shadows, but that's okay because that means that they're buildable. It means that you can have a nice sheer wash of color on the lid, or you can build it up to something that's a bit heavier, you know, something for an evening or something a little more smoky. So yes, I love it. And the packaging is beautiful too. Highly recommend. The next two palettes are both from Lorac. I love Lorac. It's probably one of my favorite eyeshadow brands. I think that their formula is consistent. I think that their shadows are buttery and creamy and easy to work with, very blendable. I think their shadows are just a high quality. They last for a long time. And I think that for the price point, again, this brand I feel is pretty accessible. So the first one is the Lorac Mini Pro palette, and this is Mystic Oak. And it does come with a little tiny mirror on the inside, and then it has a little piece of paper that explains to you what the shades are. I really don't know if I'm going to end up keeping track of that little paper, but I'll try. So this is what the palette looks like. It is neutral. It's a bit more cool toned, but I do like it. And it has some shimmers, satins, and of course a couple of mattes to work with. It seems very simple, and it is, but don't you want that sometimes? Sometimes you just want to reach for a palette and just make a look. You don't want to have to use a lot of brain power. You just want to be able to slap on a nice eye look and get on with your day. And that's what this palette is for. I highly recommend it. Beautiful shadows, nice saturation. It's just a nice formula. This next one from Lorac is also a mini pro palette, and it's called Frosted Sequoia. And Frosted Sequoia, same thing. It's got the little mirror, and it has the little piece of paper that says like what the shades are. And again, it's just kind of a nice plain palette. This one is warmer toned. It's got your mattes and your shimmers. It's super basic, but I'm telling you guys, sometimes basic is really what you want. Basic is, there's nothing wrong with it. You don't have to be super creative to put on a nice eyeshadow look. You should be able to pick up your shadows, not feel intimidated. You should feel encouraged and empowered to just throw something nice on your eyes and, you know, have that confidence. So that's something I really love these little palettes for. And if this is your first foray into makeup, I definitely recommend these. They're easy to work with, easy to blend, very forgiving. So the next set of palettes are from Juvia's Place. I have two of them here. And the first one is the Olori 1 palette. And that's this one. I love their packaging. It's so beautiful. I think it's really creative, and it's always just really pretty. So for this palette, it's nice and bright and cheery. It reminds me of spring. This palette really reminds me too of like Carnival. I mean, look at these shadows. They're so pretty. So I believe the look that I made was fairly neutral, and I used these three colors here. Again, you'll see it on my playlist. So I do want to bust out this palette again to use these blues. But the shimmers are gorgeous. Can I just swatch one? I'm just going to swatch one. I know that we're not going to be here all day, I promise, but I just want to swatch one. Let's swatch this one right here. So buttery, so creamy. I'm telling you guys, look at this. Can you see that? Can you see that reflect? This is what I'm talking about. Juvia's Place has some type of way with their shadows. I don't understand their formula. I don't understand how they make it consistent, but they do. I highly recommend many of their palettes. They're so easy to use. They're bright and cheery. If you're looking for brighter colors and you want to be able to just, you know, bust out a really nice, happy, bright look, then I definitely recommend Juvia's Place. And then ditto for this palette. It's also bright and cheery. This is the Olori 3. Again, with a really beautiful packaging. I feel like she looks like a queen or a princess. I just love it. So pretty. And then for this one, you have, again, just these really lovely, bright colors. Look at that. Look at this right here. This kind of coppery shade. This is my wheelhouse right here. These two especially. I love it. And I'm not a huge coral fan, but I'm trying to get into coral. So, you know, this shade right here, I thought, okay, that's going to help me kind of jump in there and do the coral thing. Either way, it's a lovely palette. Again, it's got a beautiful formula. Very easy to work with. You can do one shadow, you can do two, you can do all six if you want to. Get as colorful and creative as you want, or keep it as simple as you want. Juvia's Place, you guys. I can't say enough about it. Fantastic brand. So the remaining palettes that I have here are all from ColourPop. Wow, what a surprise, right? If you've been watching my channel for any amount of time, you do know that I enjoy ColourPop. I think that in terms of shadows, you know, ColourPop is right up there with Lorac. It has a fairly consistent formula between palettes and even between singles that you can pretty much rely on. I've only ever had the experience of a few duds when it comes to ColourPop, and that was, you know, few and far between. So I think if I were going to give it an overall grade or an overall recommendation, I would say go for it. Grab whatever you want from ColourPop because you're probably going to love it. So this first palette here is called Really Ruby. And again, these are all the quads from that Lucite series. Each series has kind of a different theme. This is part of like a precious metals theme. And so, you know, each one of the series is something different. They have a zodiac theme. They've got one that's kind of like earth colors. So it just depends. They have a ton of these, you guys. So for Really Ruby, this is what it looks like. Again, they all have that same lucite packaging. This was a very easy palette to work with. I really love the shadows. They are very pigmented. They're rich. They show up nicely on the skin, especially if you have a deeper tone like I do. I definitely recommend this. I really like this color right here as a topper. It's just lovely. And then what's nice too, guys, about these ColourPop palettes is that they have each of the shadows labeled here on the back, and they also have, if there's an asterisk next to the shadow, it will tell you if it's meant to be used near the eye area or not. So I thought that was a nice touch. Moving on to the Agate. This is part of that same Precious Metals series, and this is more of a purple toned palette. And that's what this one looks like. And I love purple, I love mauve, plum, berry, wine, all those kinds of shades. And this one was equally lovely and easy to work with. Again, they have this kind of formula of like couple satins or a shimmer and a satin, and then some mattes to work with. So these quads are versatile. They are very good, I think, for anyone that's kind of jumping into makeup, trying something new, wants to buy a palette but doesn't want to buy like a huge 32 pan palette where they might be overwhelmed. These little quads are perfect for that. They're also really good for travel, and I think that they're fantastic because, you know, you can make several different looks with just a few different shades, so just a few different combinations. Beautiful, beautiful palette. This one is all that Topaz, again part of that Precious Metals line, and that's what this one looks like. This one is definitely more of your kind of yellowy sort of, what do you call this undertone? It's a warm undertone, and it's a bit brighter. I think the colors kind of carry across more of a yellow undertone, but it is absolutely lovely. I really like this gold. I thought that was nice. And this brown as well. It's a really rich, chocolatey brown, which I appreciate. I like to use brown instead of black for a lot of different things, my liner and all that. I feel like it deepens the look nicely without it being too severe. So, beautiful palette. So moving on, we have an Emerald Away, part of that same precious metals, I don't know how you call it, whatever that series is called. So this is the green one. If I recall, I had a little bit of trouble working with this, but not much at all. I think that if you're going to be using these, especially this one in particular, I see some fallout. Just make sure you have a primer on the lid, and I think you should be good to go. These colors are really beautiful, and I love green. It's my favorite color, so of course I was going to grab this one. And yeah, very pretty. Next one we have here is Set On Sapphire. So this is the blue palette. I was a little bit worried about this one when I first started working with it because I just wasn't sure of how it was going to turn out. I think that the mattes here are a little bit trickier than I'm used to in terms of ColourPop's mattes. They tend to be a little more buttery, and these ones had a little bit of patchiness, a little bit of kind of tugging on the lid. I was pleasantly surprised though with the look I was able to turn out, and I would recommend this palette maybe if you're you know, intermediate, high, you know, a little bit, you've been doing makeup for a little while, you're kind of used to it, you know how to finesse things a little bit more, work with your primers, things like that. So yeah, I would recommend this palette for sure. Then we have the Citrine You Me, and I believe that was all 6 for this Precious Stones or Precious Metal series, and that's what this one looks like. And again, this is just that really nice warm toned kind of orangey, you know, it's a very fall looking palette, but you can pull it off for sure for spring or winter. It's fine. Just something to warm up the lid, you know, kind of carry you through those long winter days if you're trying to, spice it up a bit and look a little bit cheerier on your way to spring. Beautiful, beautiful palette. I know I say that about all of them, but I'm telling you guys, they're beautiful. This last one is from the Zodiac collection. I have several more of these. And this one is called The Secret Life of Scorpio. It is definitely a red, like burgundy color story. So if you're not really into reds, then this may not be for you. Or you can just give it a try and see what you think. Maybe finesse the colors by including them with another palette, trying to kind of use these as an accent for your look. I loved it. I think that it's beautiful. I definitely plan to use it again and again. So I highly recommend it. These are really easy reds to blend as well, which you don't always come across. And I feel like the colors are very true when you put them on. So yeah, beautiful. That's it, you guys. That is all the eyeshadow palettes that I used in March of 2022. Thank you so much for coming to my channel. I really appreciate your time. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.